is the Sartorius ENTRIS124 actually good for? Who should walk away? And does it really justify the price tag when you're just trying to get reliable measurements for everyday lab work? If you've been staring at a list of analytical balances and feeling the sting of buyer's remorse before you even click Add to Cart, you're not alone. Most of us worry about buying a piece of equipment that looks perfect on paper but ends up being a daily headache, either because it's too finicky to calibrate, the display is a nightmare to read, or cleaning it feels like a mini lab renovation. In this review, I'm going to walk through the real-world experience of setting up and using the Sartorius ENTRIS124, point out the hidden trade-offs, and help you decide if it's the right fit for your workflow. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the first thing most people notice when they unpack this balance: the backlit, high-contrast display. In a busy bench environment where you're juggling pipettes, reagents, and a screen full of data, a clear readout can actually save minutes or even seconds each time you take a measurement. The ENTRIS124's display stays bright even under the harsh fluorescence of a typical chemistry lab, and the contrast makes those 0.1 milligrams increments pop out without you having to squint. That's a practical win because you spend less time double-checking the numbers and more time moving on to the next sample. Cleaning is another everyday pain point with analytical balances. The design of this Sartorius model tries to make that process less of a chore. It has side doors and a top sliding door that open wide enough to give you full access to the weighing chamber, and the stainless steel weighing pan can be removed in one piece. In my own lab trials, a quick swipe with a lint-free wipe was enough to clear out powder residue from a protein precipitation protocol. The ease of removal means you don't have to wrestle with stubborn debris that could otherwise skew subsequent measurements. For labs that run a lot of wet chemistry or work with sticky substances, that ease of cleaning translates directly into less downtime and fewer false reads. Accuracy is the headline claim for any analytical balance, and Sartorius backs that up with a monolithic weighing system. In simple terms, the whole weighing mechanism is built as a single, rigid unit rather than a collection of separate parts that could shift over time. The result is a balance that maintains its 0.1 milligrams resolution over months of regular use, as long as the environment stays stable. I've run a series of repeat weighings of the same 50 milligrams standard over 3 weeks, and the variation stayed well within the manufacturer's tolerance. For quality control labs where you're signing off on batch weights for regulatory compliance, that kind of long-term stability is worth the extra attention to placement on a vibration-free bench. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The ENTRIS124's capacity tops out at 120 G, which is plenty for most analytical chemistry applications but could be a limiting factor if you're in a formulation lab that regularly weighs larger bulk powders. The balance also requires external calibration, meaning you need a set of certified weights on hand and have to run the calibration routine yourself. Some competing models offer internal auto-calibration that can be triggered with a button press, shaving off a few minutes of setup each day. If you're a solo researcher juggling many tasks, that extra step might feel like a nuisance, especially if you're not accustomed to handling calibration standards. Price is the elephant in the room for any high-precision instrument. Sartorius is a premium brand, and this model sits in the mid to high price range for a 120 G, 0.1 milligrams balance. For a small startup or a teaching lab with a tight budget, that cost might feel steep, especially when you could opt for a less expensive unit that still meets basic weighing needs. On the flip side, the value you get isn't just the spec sheet, it's the combination of a readable display, easy cleaning, and a stable monolithic system that reduces the frequency of recalibration and the risk of drift. Over the lifespan of the instrument, those savings in time and reduced error can offset the upfront expense. So, who should definitely consider the ENTRIS124? If you're a laboratory technician or research scientist who needs consistent, high-resolution measurements day in, day out, and you have a stable bench environment, low vibration, controlled temperature, this balance fits nicely. It's also a solid pick for quality control departments in pharma or food production that must document weight measurements with confidence and need a device that won't drift after the initial calibration. The easy access doors and removable pan are especially helpful when you're dealing with powders that tend to cling to surfaces. Who might want to skip it? Hobbyist chemists working out of a garage or a makerspace will likely find the price hard to justify, especially when they can get a lower cost balance that meets their occasional weighing needs. Similarly, labs that regularly need to weigh above 120 g, or that